I was really wanting the Milwaukee one of these, but I couldn't justify paying the $250 or whatever it was to get into one of those. So when I saw the Hercules one coming out, I was pretty excited. So I've had this one for about a year, and it's been awesome. I use it quite often. So much so that I thought I needed another one. So I bought another one. These have been kind of hard to get. And I want to keep on with the Carbide bit on it, and then one with a sanding disc on it, because I tend to go back and forth between those two bits quite often. So let's see if there's any changes to the new one compared to the old one. One thing I really wish that this had, and the new Milwaukee version has, is it has a collet lock. And this one does not. You need 2 wrenches to get a tool in there. So here is the new one, and it looks exactly the same as the old one. This has been out for such a short period of time. I didn't think there would be changes, but you never know. So everything looks the same. So I'm pretty excited to have 2. All that comes in a box is the tool and 2 of these metal wrenches for the cullets. It's nothing too exciting. This one here is brand new, and this one I have beat on pretty crazy. I've been dropping this thing. One of the things that I definitely recommend is it's such a light tool, and there's a smaller battery. The 2 amp hour. This is a 4 amp hour. I recommend definitely getting the 4 amp hour. The 2 amp hour does not last hardly at all, especially for the stuff I'm doing. I'm building a ton of sculptures and deburring and sanding, and probably not always using it what it is intended for, or pushing it harder than I should. But it really comes in handy, so that's why I do it. And if you want to really push it, I recommend getting some of these 4 amp hour batteries. So a few quick specs. Has a 1/4 inch collet, which really lets you get into the tight little areas. And of course you can get all the Carbide tools for it. It's got a variable speed trigger, as well as the speed change in the back, which I just usually leave it on 4. This trigger isn't always super easy to manipulate, so I may try to sand it a little bit to push it. Of course, it runs on the cordless Hercules platform, the 12 volt. I know there's a 2 and a 4 amp hour. I'm not sure if there's another one. Right out of the box, it feels pretty dang good. This one, like I said, with the 2 amp hour battery, man, it is super light. Comfortable grip. I'm not sure how it compares in size to the Milwaukee one or even the DeWalt one that's out now, but I wish it was a tad smaller. You can see I have a really big hand and it's fairly large, but it fits all right. It doesn't feel real cheap, and as you probably know, Harbor Freight has been improving the Hercules line pretty good now. I know there's a lot of people that say that Hercules aren't, pro grade. Maybe they're not, but I use mine every single day. And like I said, I work them pretty hard and they've been fine. I've actually been switching to a bunch of Hercules stuff, including the right angle grinder. And I have not been disappointed. I think they work great. And I believe these are $59. And compared to the $249 I just saw the DeWalt at, and that's pretty much where the Milwaukee one is too. You can't beat that. I mean, if these were Milwaukees, I'd have, $500 just in tools and plus whatever the freaking battery is. Now, I do have Milwaukee stuff. Got a bunch of batteries right there, but I don't necessarily need to waste money on all Milwaukee stuff. This one right here is the one I've been using for a year, and it has definitely seen some use. It's been used to clean welds, shape steel, and do all kinds of custom fabrication work. As you can see, it's been getting a little bit worn, but there's not really any crazy issues or wear marks with it. Everything is still tight. No wobble in the spindle. And I promise you, I have dropped this thing from this workbench multiple times. And I used to stand it up like this all the time on the workbench, and I would hit it and it would get knocked over. And I started laying it down because, like I said, I dropped it a bunch. But even with all that bouncing off the floor, it still functions correctly. You know, I don't know what it has for bearings in it. Maybe one of these days I'll pull one of these apart and see what it looks like inside. But, you know, that's one of the things that surprised me with this tool is even after using it as much as I do, it's been fine. And that wasn't always the case with Harbor Freight stuff. All right, let's check this out with the Carbide bit. I've never actually really pushed this thing to see if it stalls, so see how it actually performs. I know one of the things that people actually worry about with a cordless die grinder is if it has the the correct amount of power compared to an air one. So I have this really thick weld that I had on these jaws for a vise. So let's see if I can stall this thing. It looks like I coulda, but I pushed really hard there. So that's crazy. Look at the little groove it made. And this stuff are not soft. Those are pretty hard steel jaws. So, and this is the old one too. So this one, like I said, is the one I've been beating on for a year. So it bogged down a tad, but it didn't really stall, which I think is a testament to how good this tool is. All right, let's put the sanding wheel in the new one. We'll see if we can get a weld cleaned up for you. We'll just do a spot weld or see what we got here. I think I'll put a new disc on this. I use these 2-inch discs I get off Amazon. They work really good. Teso Apex or something like that. Let's get a new one. I'll link these in the description. All right, let's see what we got here. There's a pretty heavy bead right there, which I probably should use a real right angle grinder for, or a bigger one. But let's see what we got. And you can see it's already been polished, but we'll push on it and see what happens. And this is one of those areas where this tool really shines. You know, smaller tool, it's a little bit hard to manipulate. It's a little bit hard to manipulate a bigger right angle grinder. So using this smaller tool lets you really get in there and clean the welds and manipulate the tool better. That's one thing I forgot. These smaller batteries give up the ghost a little bit. Let's see what this bigger battery does. You see the difference. These things just can't do it, so I had forgotten all about that. You see it completely took that weld bead out right there. So it's, you know, aggressive enough to remove material really, really quickly with the 4 amp hour battery. This is a 60 grit sanding disc. A few things that I really like about this is, first, the price. You know, instead of being able to buy just one tool, you can get 2 or 3 or 4 for roughly the price of the red or yellow brand. So compared to a lot of other cordless grinders, it is a much more affordable brand while still being able to do a ton of the work. Second is durability. Like I said, I've dropped this thing off the bench multiple times and it just continues to perform. And that makes me pretty happy that I didn't waste my money on a tool that didn't do what I needed to do. And this one's been in my shop for a year, getting beat on. Still works awesome. And third, it's just super, super useful for fabrication work. Because I build sculptures, I'm often in tighter areas, and the right angle grinder just can't fit in all those spots. You can see that I got a weld in here, and I could just go in here and weld this or grind this and not have an issue. That said, it's not perfect. For whatever reason, it can sometimes be really, really hard to find. I'm not sure why, but I bet you took me 3 months to get my second one when I decided that I wanted 2 of them. I have a couple Harbor Freights near me, and I kept going in between all 3 or checking online stock, and I could never find one. I happened to be in there the other day and grabbed another one. The other thing that I've noticed with this tool is it has a little bit of vibration. Now, I wasn't sure if that was because I had dropped it a bunch on the floor or that's just the way it was made. But it seems like both of them have roughly the same amount of vibration. Now, granted, this older one, the vibration is a little bit more, but I'm not really sure what you can expect. I mean, the right angle grinder vibrates pretty bad too. So with that being said, you know, it's still doing what I need it to do. The biggest gripe for me is the lack of a collet lock. That would make this tool, in my eyes, perfect. Like, we need a collet lock. Something you can just push the button, it locks, and use one wrench to get your bit in and out. And like most cordless die grinders, it can get a little heavy, especially with the bigger battery. But as you just saw, the 2 amp hour just quits instantly. So with the 4 amp hour battery, it works great, but it gets a little bit heavier. But it's not as heavy as a cordless, or it's not as heavy as a right angle grinder. So I say if you're looking for a die grinder and you don't really want to spend the money on the Milwaukee or the DeWalt, I think you really should give this one a try. In my opinion, it works really, really good. And I think that you'll be happy with it. In the description, I'll link some of the bits I use. I found a Carbide set that works really well. This one right here is a benchmark abrasive, but there's a knockoff set on Amazon that works good, and I'll link these sanding discs, which I buy like 50 or 100 at a time. They don't last super long, but I'll link those and a couple other tools that I use with this. If you're a homeowner, a DIYer, hobby fabricator, or even a full one like me, this tool makes a lot of sense. It's powerful enough to do real work, but it's not insanely expensive. And if you're already on the Hercules battery platform, it's an easy addition to the shop. After using this tool for about a year, the biggest thing I can say is it's not the fanciest tool in the shop, but it's powerful enough and reliable enough to get the job done. And like I said throughout the video, it's held up really, really well to the abuse that I put it through. And honestly, that's exactly what you want from a tool like this. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment, and please like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.